Hi Michael. Team news, if you don't mind starting with Mateus, Cunha, Luke Shaw, Delict. Is there any other people that we need to be wary of?
No, we're in good shape really. Mateus has done a little bit of work, so we're hopeful. We're not sure, but we're hopeful. So obviously Matt is still a little bit further. He's not involved in the game, but other than that, they're in good shape.
Obviously yesterday the club announced Kobbie Mainoo signed his new deal till 2031. How big a boost is that to the club? And I saw Jason Wilcox describe him as one of the most naturally gifted young footballers in the world. What's your take on him?
Yeah, I've been hugely impressed with Kobbie since I've been here. I think I've known him quite some time in different capacities, but certainly been aware of him for a long time. And he epitomises this football club, you know. Young players coming through the academy, living, breathing the club, and coming through with real talent, you know, and showing what he's doing. I think the last couple of games, particularly, I think he's been fantastic. And the natural thing and the evolution is to obviously sign a new contract. So everyone's over the moon with that, including me, because I think he deserves it.
Michael, when we spoke to you a couple of weeks ago about Leeds, obviously we spoke about the rivalry, and you've not played that often against them. Clearly you played quite often against Liverpool. Would you still regard it as the biggest game for Manchester United, no matter where the clubs are in the league?
Certainly one of my favourite games, yeah, without doubt. I think it's a standout game, you know. I think there's obviously big games and big rivalries that we have with other teams, but certainly this one is right up there. And the history, the ups and downs that past has produced in these type of games, and the excitement and entertainment, I think it's and the emotion, which is a huge part of it. It makes it a really special game.
If you think about the game, what thing do you think of first?
I think it's just that edge and that competition, really, and irrespective of league positions over the years of who's been on top at certain times or whatever, it's never really changed the feeling of the game and the emotion and the supporters. And I think it's and really appreciating what it means to the supporters. I think we have to do that. It's just a special game, you know, to be part of, and obviously to come out on top is one of the best feelings you'll get.
Afternoon, Michael. To go back to Kobbie, he hadn't started a Premier League game until your return. I just wondered, putting football aside though, what was it like to first talk to him when you came back? Because I imagine he probably wasn't full of confidence, having not played a lot of football, and maybe having that first dip of the early part of his career. So what was that like with Kobbie the person rather than Kobbie as a footballer?
Like all the players, I think, trying to get that connection and understanding and building relationships. Certainly understanding what it had looked like for Kobbie over the last 2-3 years, and the ups and the downs and the big highs and some challenging times. And letting him thrive, you know, just giving him that platform to go and be himself. And I think he's evolved. He's improving all the time. I think you can see that. The more responsibility, the more confidence, the more belief keeps adding to his game, and he's certainly done that. But yeah, just giving him that platform and that opportunity to go and be the best version, and he's, as I just said, he's done fantastic with it. There's more to come. There's loads more to come. I keep saying that for some time because he's such a young man, you know. And but he's in a great spot at the moment.
Michael, you said there's loads more to come. By the end of this contract, it'll be sort of mid-20s. What do you think he could achieve here, beyond in that time?
Well, hopefully he's here for a long time, and he's part of successful teams that win things, win trophies. That has to be the aim. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be straightforward. But that's got to be the challenge, and that's got to be the aim of Kobbie is to be the best version of himself and keep pushing, keep improving. And certainly having a platform of a team and the football club that's in a good place to keep pushing forward as well. And we want to be competing for the biggest of trophies, and we've done it in the past, and we need to do it again.
Time.
Hi, Michael.
You've had a very settled team since you've come back, and obviously the schedule has helped with that. But do you think the squad is deep enough and big enough to compete on maybe 4 fronts next year and play 60 games rather than 40?
Well, it's certainly a different challenge to what we've had over the last 3 or 4 months. It's a natural one. I think it's where we want to be. So it's a real positive if that is the case. If we get in the position that we want to finish in the league to be able to do that. And obviously evolving all the time. You know, I think always trying to improve, always trying to be stronger. Whether that's quality, whether that's depth, whether that's the makeup of the squad, the balance of the squad, the balance of the team. Constantly pushing to move forward, really.
Jamie. Hi, Michael. You played central midfield for this club until you're sort of 36, 37. Casemiro's now 33, 34. What's the key to doing it as you get a little bit older? You know, why has Casemiro been so good this year? And also, do you actually give him any advice, or you just don't need to, because he is sort of like quite an accomplished player?
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting in terms of how much you give certain players. Even younger players, you think sometimes you need to help them a lot and give them a lot. Other times you actually, a little bit like Cobby's scenario, really, of knowing when to come off and just let them develop and let them thrive. There's a little bit, certain players want more than others, and then there's the stage when, you know, there's a lot of experience and you're kind of crossing the 30 mark and you're in them stages. Players are a lot of the time of a little bit what they are, and trusting them to know themselves as well, and speaking to them on a level really where there's an understanding there. And certainly with Cassie, that's been the case of knowing what he's good at, what he can bring to the team, trying to play to his strengths if anything, and having a real trust in his experience and the level that he has. And to play for so long at such a level, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes a lot of work. It's not easy, I think. That was something I was personally proud of sustaining it for a period of time. And certain players have different types of careers. There's big spikes and maybe a bit dip. Some players a bit more steady, but to do what he's done over such a long period of time takes a lot of credit. It takes a lot of work and a lot of credit for everyone for doing what he has.
Richard. Hi, Michael. You said that Liverpool and United's a big game irrespective of league position, but this year there's the chance to finish ahead of them, whereas obviously last year there's a big difference in the table between the clubs. And what would it mean this year if you can?
Yeah, I just think this probably shows the improvements of the group really, and getting stronger, and then to be coming into this game in such a good position, you know, on the back of good results and trying to achieve and moving forward. So fully aware of the situation in the league and how close it is between us, but that's not something really we've focused on going into this game. I think it's a one-off game. I think they've got some terrific players. They're a good team. They won the league last year, and obviously we respect everything that goes into the game. So we're treating it as that, as a one-off game. The league position is what it is, but Sunday's a whole different ball game.
David.
Just following on from Simon's question, which I was going to ask. What does it say about the respective standings of yourselves and Liverpool, and the kind of enduring global appeal of both clubs, that even though you're not going for the title, even though it's between City and Arsenal, this is still the standout game, the biggest game, and it'll be watched around the world by tens of millions of fans? What does that say about the two clubs?
Yeah, first of all, it's a real privilege for all of us to be involved in it, in whatever capacity, and I think that's the beauty of football, though. In the end, you know, we all get wound up at times in different ways about what's going on week to week, from club to club, and the ups and downs. But talking about a career as an individual, of sustaining a career, but to sustain a level of performance over a period of time for each football club. And then I think there's a way of how you do it as well, you know, and what the standards look like, what it means, what the behaviours and what you stand for as a football club. And I think it's two incredible football clubs, and to be so close together in so many ways, so titles and geographical, not far away. I think it to have such an impact over such a period of time is quite special, you know, and I think we all appreciate that.
Liverpool, I don't think it's dramatic to say this is a fixture that brings the football world to a standstill. All over the planet, people will be tuning in for this one.
Well, you look at the amount of domestic honours and European honours that they've won between them, probably the most
combined out of any club in the Premier League, and they are two of the biggest supported clubs in the world. You know, you can put them in the brackets with the European giants, and this is a fixture that attracts interest from all over the world because they've got such a huge fan base, these two clubs. They're the meeting of two giants. I mean, obviously they've got their local rivals, but this is probably one of, if not the second fixture that both sets of supporters look out for.
Yeah, definitely will. But this time as well, there is the added element of Champions League football. Is this a straight shootout for Champions League football?
I don't think it's a straight shootout because I think they're both in brilliant position and I think they'll both get it. But for me, this is the first time in a long time. Yes, earlier in the season was tight. United obviously got the win, but for so long, I would say this rivalry's not felt like it's quite had the same edge that I enjoyed, you know, in my younger years when I was coming up, starting to find my love for football. I just knew what this fixture meant, and some of those clips we just watched, you know, to me that gives me goosebumps and big feels for the weekend, because I think this is one of the first times again we're getting this fixture when both clubs feel like they're in a good moment and they're at the top end of the table, and it is going to have that edge. And I think now there's players in both dressing rooms as well that really can lean into that feeling that both clubs have and go, let's make this one of these big occasions again. So I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. And we see there in the table, you know, both those teams that are going to finish it within the top five. I'm very sure of that. And they'll both just want to finish above each other. And I think that might be a big part of the motivation for the weekend.
Such a good point you make, because for so many years, the rivalry has been intense, but one has been above the other, clearly. They've not been challenging on a similar level. They're obviously both looking for Champions League places, but Liverpool dominated recently. We know the dominance that Manchester United had years ago, but actually now they're so close rivals, but so closely matched in the table as well, fighting for the same prize.
It is 3 points separating those two sides ahead of their meeting at Old Trafford on Sunday. When you look at Manchester United's position, the fact that they are in third place right now, is this one of the greatest turnarounds in this Premier League season?
Michael Carrick's got to take so much credit for what he's done. I mean, since he's taken over, there's no Premier League team won more points at home. Won more points. They've won 36 points at home under his stewardship. They've been absolutely excellent under Michael Carrick. And I think when you look at what they've done, the formation change immediately, I think that was a glaring obvious. And you can see from that graphic there, since he's taken over, they would be top of the Premier League, above Manchester City, above Arsenal. And that just the difference in the attitude and application of the players. I think there's a lot to be said for the formation and the way that they were coached under Ruben Amorim. And I think under Michael Carrick, the man management. But also we talk about Michael Carrick, but I think a very shrewd move, I don't know what you think, Rachel, was putting Steve Holland in there.
Yeah.
I think, you know, when you look at the coach that he has been under Gareth Southgate and the success that England have had, the coaching staff that Manchester United have amassed in and around Michael Carrick, he's been the figurehead of it, but I think it's been a very clever move.
I would agree, and I think a big part of that also it will be the language that's used and the stability and calmness of just understanding big pressure moments, big pressure club, you know, not just about being in games that carry big moments, but just understanding the day-to-day and helping the players be calm, helping the players have clear roles, a bit of familiarity and structure. And, yeah, to the formation point, it was obvious for a long time that there was too many people that were, you know, square pegs and round holes, and it wasn't working. And it's really made, I think, a lot of the players flourish. The likes of Menu that we've just touched on there, he's come in. He can do that job. We know he can do the job. It's how he plays the game and it fits for him. Fernandes has benefited, but we just see Muniz has been in the recent weeks. Brilliant little through ball. It's the simple things, but that's what we're talking about. Do the really simple things really effectively well. He likes to get involved. He'll break play up, and then he's immediately thinking, just put a good quality ball in, make the other team defend. And it's asking all these little questions and doing all the little basics to the best of your ability that break teams down and wear teams down and let you have the advantage over the opponent. I mean, that's a fantastic finish, but great work again in the middle of the pitch. And just again a move they've clearly worked on, but Menu with a little bit of quality. It's not asking a lot, but it's about doing it effectively. Do your job, know your job really well. And it's good to see him come into a bit of form, because it wasn't nice to see a young player that clearly looked quite unhappy in the last environment, and it's really important for young players to get the opportunity to keep developing, and yeah, they got to take ownership of that as well. But it's good to see someone that had so much promise come back from what earlier on in the season was a really tough time for him, clearly.
And you can see it there, no starts under Ruben Amorim. He started 12 out of 12 appearances under Michael Carrick. He's the example of everything you guys have been saying about playing, the right players in the right positions. And now we're seeing a player who had started 0 games under the former manager being given a contract renewal, committing his future to the club.
But again, you've got to question the former manager as to why such a young player who wasn't just an integral part of Manchester United, but he was an integral part of the England national team as well. When you look at him, the quality that he's got, to not get a look in under the previous manager, to now become an integral part of what Michael Carrick wants to do and what he's doing at Manchester United. And a lot of the Manchester United fans were scratching their head. Why isn't he playing? Why isn't he on the bench? Why isn't he coming on to games? And then for Michael Carrick to come in, and all of a sudden he's had the impact that a lot of people knew that he would have, and then he's rewarded with a new contract. So then I ask the question, you talk about the Michael Carrick's future at the club. Who's had the authority to give him that new contract? If it was a sporting director, if it's the board who have sanctioned that, why weren't they asking the previous manager, why isn't this player playing? But now they've put faith in Michael Carrick, they've allowed him to play him, and they've also backed their manager by giving a player that he clearly likes a new contract. So that maybe makes you think they're looking very fondly upon the manager they've got at the moment.
Yeah, is that any indication, if they are giving the manager say and who stays long-term, that he might be there and be the head of Manchester United long-term? What do you think about his future?
I think he deserves the opportunity, because I think he's done a great job. And I think one of the biggest things as well is that you can clearly see he's handled a lot of the other elements, the outside elements, really well. The players clearly are enjoying the environment just by how they look like they're playing, the smiles on their faces, the cohesion amongst them. It would seem strange to me that you would risk bringing someone in fresh purely based on the fact that you've decided when you appointed him it was only an interim thing and the plan was for somebody to come in permanently in the summer.
When we heard Arne Slot talking, he was mentioning some of the players that they've had unavailable through injury. A large example of that, big, huge one, would be Alexander Isak. And we saw him score last time out. That must have been such an important goal for him, given how his Liverpool career has started.
It's been a difficult start for him. And he comes with a huge price tag, which in itself brings expectation. And I think with the signing of Ekitike as well, the manager tried to play them both at the start of the season. That clearly didn't work. And the way that the manager plays, there's probably only room for one of them in the team. And Alexander Isak was very unfortunate with the injury that he picked up. Missed a huge chunk of the season, which benefited Ekitike. He's got a lot of quality, Isak. We saw that against Liverpool. For Newcastle, the times that he played against Liverpool. And he scores goals that other players can't score. He runs in behind, he's quick, he's very clever, and he gets his shot away out of areas where you wouldn't necessarily expect him to get his shot away. But like we say, he picked up this terrible injury against Tottenham, scoring a goal. He's very brave in the situation. And that's set him back. But you've got to give him a lot of credit because that was a serious injury and he's come back very quickly from it. And actually, if he does start this game, it'll be his 100th Premier League appearance. So it could be a landmark appearance for him. And, you know, he'll now get his opportunity between now and the end of the season. And
a player of his quality could be a huge difference maker in the run-in in the last couple of games.
It very well could be, and there's no doubt he's a fantastic player. You know, we have seen that. I think how the whole thing was handled and how his signing came about, dragged on, it became a whole public affair, and everyone had an opinion on it. It took far too long to happen. The price tag was a factor. He's had injuries. I think during that time, Ekitike actually looked really promising. He had a positive start to the season, but then there was the awkwardness of we've just paid all this money, and the whole saga of it, to be honest, wasn't great. And it's a lesson for Liverpool in terms of making sure in the future let's not put ourselves in that position, players in that position, because I don't think anybody won from the whole ordeal. That said, he's now got a run of games. He's got his goal. And he's going to be a top player for Liverpool. Liverpool are a fantastic football club. They've got great attacking players. They're going to give him the service. He's got many attributes. He can go in behind. He can stretch the game. He can score different goals. And hopefully as a positive end to the season, because I think that would set him up for Liverpool next year to really have his big season. And, I think the goals are endless. It's up to him, the number he wants to target and go after.
A lot of questions about Liverpool next season. What happens to them? Does a result at Old Trafford change the conversation around Arne Slot for you? That is the main question for me. I think, listen, a club of Liverpool's stature defending the title like they have this season with the manager under scrutiny, I think a Champions League place is an absolute must for them. And then Liverpool, we've seen them stand by the managers. They had a fantastic year last season. They backed him. They spent a lot of money in the summer on players. Regardless of how much you spend on a player or the quality of a player, it's going to take new players a while for a manager to put them together. And I think